Sia Camping.
PQ 11, please.
Mr. Speaker, a confluence of external and domestic factors have contributed to higher costs for businesses in Singapore. Notably, the global prices of energy and other intermediate inputs have risen sharply from a year ago and are expected to remain elevated amidst the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and protracted global supply disruptions. This has, in turn, raised the cost of utilities, fuel, and transportation, among other costs for Singapore businesses. Domestically, the tight labour market will continue to exert upward pressure on labour costs. Reflecting this cost pressure, the unit business cost UBC, which refers to the business cost incurred to produce a unit of output in each sector, has risen for the manufacturing and service sectors. Specifically, the unit business cost of the manufacturing sector rose by 5.2% on a year-on-year basis in the second quarter of 2022, extending the 4% increase of the previous quarter. This is a reversal of the 7% per annum decline in the 5 years between 2017 and 2021. Similarly, the unit business cost of the overall services sector rose by 7.2% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2022, following the 7.9% increase in the previous quarter. This was faster than the 1.9% per annum increase between 2017 and 2021. Nonetheless, businesses have remained profitable, with their gross profits increasing by 9.8% year-on-year on average in the second quarter of 2022, extending the 10.1% rise in the first quarter. The government is monitoring business costs closely and will continue to provide targeted support to businesses where needed. For example, under the SBRG, Small Business Recovery Grant, over 40,000 businesses in the sectors most badly affected by COVID-19 restrictions were eligible for a total of about $132 million in payout. We are also helping businesses cope with higher electricity prices through the EEG, Energy Efficiency Grant, and alleviating their cash flow challenges through the Enterprise Financing Scheme. In terms of labour costs, the government will co-fund the wage increase of lower wage workers for 5 years from year 2022 to year 2026 under the PWCS Progressive Wage Credit Scheme. As part of the $1.5 billion support package announced in June, the government's co-funding share for 2022 PWCS support was enhanced from 50% to 75% for wages up to $2,500 and from 30% to 45% for wages above $2,500 and up to $3,000. In addition, the government has extended the JGI Jobs Growth Incentive until March 2023 to support employers that hire vulnerable workers. As we provide short-term relief to help businesses cope with rising costs, we will also not let up on our long-term efforts to raise productivity, to build capabilities, and to transform our businesses to seize new opportunities. Because this is really because the only sustainable way for our businesses to cope with cost pressures over the long run is to become more productive and more competitive. The government will continue to provide support to businesses seeking to strengthen their capabilities and to scale new heights through schemes such as the EDG Enterprise Development Grant and the PSG Productivity Solutions Grant.
Mr. Desmond Chu.
I'd like to thank the MOS for the update. Just one supplementary question. As we transit to a higher cost economy, how do we intend to balance between supporting companies in the short run and maintaining our competitiveness in the longer run? And of course, would being at a higher cost economy make us more vulnerable to external shocks, causing disruptions to the local workforce?
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member again, Mr. Desmond Chu, for his 2 supplementary questions. This has been a very atypical year. Confluence of external and domestic factors has contributed to higher costs of business for businesses in Singapore. And notwithstanding that, businesses have remained profitable. The gross profit has increased by 9.8% year-on-year on average in the second quarter, and this extends the 10.1% rise in first quarter. I just read that Minister Josephine Teo just graced the SCCCI conference this morning. And if I remember correctly, the conference is a 2-day conference that's organized by Singapore Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And they released the survey findings, and it's very heartening that the SCCCI survey, which polled SMEs, and the survey findings indicate that most businesses expect to be profitable, number one. And the second takeaway from that survey really is the SMEs in Singapore that SCCCI polled say that they will embrace digitalizations to overcome manpower constraints. So therein lies in a way, the answer to your supplementary questions. Really, the key to supporting our businesses, not just in the near term, medium term, long term. In the near term, like I've mentioned earlier, we will, not just MTI economic agencies, but we work very closely with MCI, IMDA, especially in terms of supporting our SMEs with digitalization initiatives. We will take a whole of government efforts to support our companies to make sure they are well placed to seize the opportunities in the digital economy and also sustainability space. And for example, the various schemes I've talked about, just taking an example of EDG and PSG. A few years back, the support level for EDG and PSG were pegged at 50%, and we increased it to 70%. But because the 2 sectors, the retail and the food services sectors, were hardest hit by the pandemic, this year in March, we announced that under the food services and retail revitalization package, we will increase the support level to 80% for companies in these 2 sectors. So we will keep our ears and eyes very close to the ground to continue to see how we need to improve and refine our existing initiative or even roll out new initiative. For example, we have improved and refined the enterprise financing scheme trade loan. We've increased it to 10 million, from 5 million to 10 million for a period from 1st July this year to 31st March next year, because we heard the feedback from the SMEs that some of the raw material costs has increased since first quarter of this year. And similarly, we have also increased the working capital loan, the SME working capital loan from 300,000 to 500,000, and this increase will take effect from 1st October this year to 31st March 2023. And to help our companies address utility costs, we also just rolled out the energy efficiency grant, targeting the companies in the 3 sectors that are most affected: the food services, food manufacturing, and also the retail sector. Support level is at 70%, helping, in a way, government co-funding the investment in energy efficient equipment to help them bring down the cost of electricity and utilities. So I want to assure Mr. Desmond Chu that all hands are on deck, not just in MTI family, but the whole of government, to really support our companies to tide through this challenging period and to ensure their long-term competitiveness.